is to reiterate that, as you may have heard in the SONA, this is an administration that understands the intersection between sustainable development, the environment, biodiversity, climate change, and land use change, among others. And so we're here at the point where the President has then issued a suspension of reclamation projects in Manila Bay, really to look into, number one, the environmental impacts, but also the social impacts of these activities. And on the part of the DNR, we are, of course, as I have said before, looking into the compliances under the conditions under which the ECCs and the area clearances were issued. So this is the role of the DNR, and as I've said before, we have already started to look at the compliance issue, and we are continuing to do that, starting with, of course, the ongoing, but then we will look into all the projects for compliance.
Okay. Opening the floor to questions. Kathy Valente, Manila Times.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon. Ma'am, Senator Cynthia Villar claimed that you are afraid of influential people behind the Manila Bay Reclamation Project. Who are these influential people, and bakit ilag tayo or afraid tayo?
So this is Senator Villar's, I guess, statement of concern regarding this very complicated issue. And I'm very grateful for our interaction. No? So Senator Cynthia and I have been really conversing very deeply on this issue of reclamation and environmental impacts. As you will see, and as I have reiterated, our work regarding compliance and the review started earlier this year when we started to meet with advocates, no, including Pamalakaya, including Agham. In that meeting, Oceana was there as well. They came to represent a few other advocates. After that, we held two other multi-stakeholder fora to actually ventilate all these issues. I'm very grateful to Senator Villar for her concern, but we are here to do our job, and we will do it slowly but deliberately because we want to make sure that we stay within the bounds of the law.
Pero ma'am, sino-sino po ito yung mga influential people na binabanggit? Meron po ba? At sinasabi niya rin ma'am, parang there were no consultation daw po sa mga reclamation project at nagpirmahan lang ng mga contracts. Paano po nangyaring may pirmahan na bago po itong mga studies pa, mga violation, possible violation na
Yeah, thank you, Kathy. No? Nangyari po ito before I joined government, so I will not venture to say what happened then. Ang role ng DNR dito is to stay within our mandate. We do have a mandate under the Mandamus, which is to rehabilitate Manila Bay to the point where people can actually swim and fish. And that is an order we take very seriously. Hindi lang po ang DNR ang kasali doon. There are 13 other agencies aside from us na in-order ng Supreme Court to rehabilitate the bay. Now, if we are to do what we have been obligated to do by the Supreme Court, we need to do the review of these projects.
Nestor Corrales, Philippine Daily Inquirer.
So, Secretary, you are not afraid of these influential people as claimed by Senator Villar?
Well, for those I don't know many of you, but you can ask the people who do know me. I'm not easily scared.
Thank you.
Okay, Ivan Mayrina, GMA 7.
Secretary, the President said that all except one has been suspended. May we know which is this one that was allowed to proceed?
Actually po, upon clarification with the President, and as you will see on the suspension, all are under review.
So all are under review?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Under review, while they're under review, they're not allowed to proceed. But apparently, ma'am, the Philippine Reclamation Authority is saying that they don't have any communications from the Office of the President for them to impose this suspension. As we speak, in effect na po ba yung suspension?
I have a copy of the suspension, so I think that the PRA will also have a copy.
So that's, as we speak, ma'am, in effect na to?
As soon as the President speaks, I think that will be in effect.
No,
And so he actually declared this over the last couple of days, I think, when he was in the Pampanga area for the Abulacan area for the flood
Yeah.
incident, and we now have a formal. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. The reason I ask is, as of yesterday, reclamation activities were still ongoing in the bay. So, there.
Yes. So we just have had something issued today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maricel Halili, TV5.
Hi ma'am, good afternoon. Ma'am, hihingi lang po kami ng detalye tungkol dun sa suspension. How long will these reclamation projects be suspended?
Well, the issue really here is the cumulative impact assessment, and I've said this before to the group, no? The scientific team that we are actually engaging will be organized by this month, no? As I've shared with you. And we intend to provide a program of work once they have all met together. Hindi lang po ito simple because cumulative impact assessment involves drivers, it involves feedbacks, no? And it involves many different disciplines. I have heard some observations noting that I have not mentioned social scientists. For those of the people who know me, know that I've been an advocate of transdisciplinary work, not multi, but transdisciplinary work. That means the disciplines need to intersect, the results need to reflect the intersections between the disciplines. And when you say transdisciplinary work, we learn from communities, we learn from experts in practice, we don't just learn from scientists who are professors.
What's our target?
We will know once the scientific team converges and the work program will be laid out. So again, this will include physical scientists, oceanographers, as well as, of course, geologists. There will be climate scientists on board. There will be social scientists on board.
Okay. Alexis Romero, Philippine Star.
Secretary, just to clarify, you mentioned that all projects are under review. Is it accurate to say that all of these projects are suspended?
The declaration is really that all of these projects are suspended at this point, no? So all are under review. We have to take our time, really beginning with those that are ongoing because they're in fact already impacting the areas, and then we will graduate to those that are in fact still not yet begun.
So we're talking about how many projects, Secretary?
In this particular region, no, we're talking about roughly 22 projects.
22 projects. Thank you, Secretary.
Sam Medanilia, Business Mirror.
Good afternoon, ma'am. We will just like to clarify, prior to ma-announce ni President Marcos yung suspension, hindi pa suspended yung mga activities doon sa Manila Bay.
Hindi po.
So yung pag-announce, tsaka pa lang po nag-suspend.
Yes po. And then they have been under review, but we don't have, the DNR does not have the authority to suspend. Okay?
Kathy Valente again, Manila Times.
Ma'am, may we know po kung sino po yung nag-approve ng mga reclamation project na to na under review? Kung hindi po during the time of the President Marcos.
Lahat po ito had been previously approved under the PRA in the previous administration.
Previous administration, ma'am, anong administration? Pangulo po pala.
Just the previous administration. So the Philippine Reclamation Authority under the previous administration, yes.
30, ma'am?
Yes po.
Okay po.
Okay. Nestor Corrales, Philippine Daily Inquirer. Kathy, the mic, please.
Ma'am, just your comment on the U.S. Embassy's statement that they're raising concern about a Manila Bay reclamation project being undertaken by a Chinese construction company that was blacklisted by Washington 3 years ago.
Yes, our role in the DNR is to really focus on environmental compliance. No? As you know, the proponents of the projects are the local government units, and they do have their own partners, etc. We are not actually able to comment on the choice of contractors or the activities that may have gone on in order for them to engage these contractors. We are here to actually implement environmental laws.
Okay, Alan Francisco, PTV4.
Hi, Sec. Sec, what is the long-term outcome or effect of this reclamation, please?
Yes, as we know, any disruption in any natural ecosystem will alter its function. So when an ecosystem is actually in place, it is in fact in a state wherein it provides certain services, ecosystem services, such as, for example, the drainage of floodwaters, no? Then when that is disrupted by any kind of physical introduction, infrastructure, digging up just for any purpose, there will be a disruption in the delivery of that service. I think what's important to know is certain sections of the Manila Bay region are at zero elevation. No? You say zero, andyan na po ang dagat. No? And some of them are actually subsiding. When we say subsiding, lumulubog po siya. No? And when you have the situation where you have extreme weather events, and we're looking at scenarios in the climate, looking forward 10, 15, 20 years, no? When you have extreme weather events, what's important is the ecosystem service of drainage for flood management, for example, needs to be preserved and enhanced, especially because the city of Manila and other cities around the bay have areas which are heavily populated, quite well developed, but almost at zero elevation. So, in terms of the long-term prospects, no, we need to take into consideration climate change impacts on the cities that are involved and the municipalities that are involved. We need to take into consideration the geological risk. As you know, there has been many discussions on the big one. I mentioned the last time when I was here, I think, hindi lang po ang big one sa West Valley Fault. May Manila Trench scenario rin ang FIVOX. At yun po ang, for me, what needs to be taken into consideration in the long term, but also in the very medium term, because we may in fact have an event that would impact everything that is built around the Bay region. Thank you.
Pia Gutierrez, ABS-CBN.
Ma'am, if ever po itong impact assessment natin ng mga reclamation projects, magpakita na it has negative effects sa environment natin, pwede po bang umabot yan na the government will also hold yung mga previous DENR officials who approved yung mga ECCs accountable?
I cannot answer a speculative question such as that, no? However, our job moving forward is to make sure that we are able to, with transparency, assure compliance so that the sustainable development of this area is possible. That's a legal question and it's speculative, yeah, so I won't venture there. Okay.
Another question po, submitted lang na reporter namin. DOST Secretary Solidum said na okay sana ang reclamation kung island reclamation dahil nababawasan ng risk ng maling koneksyon ng mga drainage sa mainland which could exacerbate the problem of flooding. Ganito rin po ba ang tingin ng DENR?
There are many ways to do reclamation correctly, and as you can see, Luneta, Intramuros, no, these are all reclaimed areas. Where the cultural center is, that is a reclaimed area. So I will not say categorically na mas mabuti yung island because it really depends on the specific physical and social context ng area. But Secretary Solidum, of course, is the Secretary of Science and Technology, and we respect his own inputs to this process.
Okay, Sam Madanilia, Business Mirror. Microphone, Kathy.
Ma'am, tatanong lang po namin, in case na after nung cumulative review ng DENR, may makitang mga violations, will DENR shut down the operations or bibigyan lang sila ng time for corrective measures dun sa mga projects nila?
There is due process here, no? So they will be given, of course, with a period within which they may be able to correct. However, and the guidance as to what can be done or not done during that period, no? And if they do not comply, it's possible for, of course, the ECCs to be suspended. Or,
Tuesday New, DZBB.
Hi ma'am, clarification lang po. Yung pinapakita niyo sa aming papel ma'am ay suspension order na po ba yan? And dated when? And naibigay po ba naibigay na ng kopya doon sa 22 reclamation projects?
I think you will have to wait for the official release, no? However, the 22 projects will be written to. Some of them have already been written to on the part of DENR, no? In terms of the compliance review, no? So, regardless of whether suspended sila or hindi, gagawin namin ang review for compliance, no? So, just to give you a little bit of background, when the ECCs and the area clearances were issued, there were conditions attached to those ECCs and area clearances. So we're looking now at the actual compliance to those conditions, no? And yun po ang medyo mabigat na trabaho because ang dami po niyan. And it involves multiple agencies giving their no objection or objection to the different projects.
Follow up lang ma'am. Sa Senate inquiry po ay na-question ang Department of Public Works and Highways dahil parang sinasabi ni Secretary Bonoan wala sila doon sa technical group para doon sa reclamation project na yan. Sabi niya, binibigyan lang sila ng paper para sabihin na kung approve sila or not doon sa project. Pwede ba yon na mag-say yes ka or no kung hindi naman pala sila kasama doon sa technical group?
Actually, there is a process by which the different departments are all given the opportunity to certify that they have objection or no objection. So, nandiyan na yan. It's part of the process. Not everyone will be part of the actual reclamation. Remember, these are local government-owned projects. And therefore, the local governments are now going to be, in collaboration with the PRA, implementing whatever approvals that they have, no? Sa totoo lang, in fact, the DENR is not even a member of the monitoring teams, no, of the projects, and we are hoping that we, in fact, can correct that situation.
Any more? Jean Mangalus, Inquirer.net.
Hi, ma'am. Thank you. Can we just get a categorical answer that all reclamation activities are under review and suspended?
Yes.
Yes. Did the DENR give a recommendation to the President for him to suspend the reclamation activities? And what was the suggestion of the DENR?
These issues on the environmental compliance have been in discussion for some time. As I said, the President has been aware of the economic as well as the environmental and social impacts of the reclamation projects. And therefore, I cannot speak for him in what made him make that decision at this point. However, we provided what we have as far as the inputs from the DENR in terms of the need for the cumulative impact assessment. I should say this. The cumulative impact assessment is actually part of EO 74. And if you can look that up, that is a very critical EO, no? And it actually mandates certain actions to be taken regarding the formulation of a national and regional reclamation policy. That is what we're also wanting to do. And we also would like to review the whole governance procedure over these types of decisions moving forward.
I was actually going to ask a clarification on that. I took some notes. Given that the Manila Bay Reclamation Area impacts all of Metro Manila and not just the LGUs fronting it, I suppose I was going to ask about the governance aspect and what can we reform or moving forward, and what do you think of how this was implemented?
My own personal opinion, Daph, at this point, is that reclamation is a development issue, and it's an environmental issue that is related to development. And therefore, the decisions regarding reclamation really should be part of an overall economic and social and environmental strategy to achieve the sustainable development goals. And so the procedures that we need to design then need to reflect the performance of the country against those goals and against the Philippine Development Plan overall.
Okay. Any more questions? No? Okay. Don't be shy. Okay. Thank you so much, Malacañang Press Corps. Thank you, Secretary Loyzaga.
Thank you, Daphne.
Magandang
Salamat
hapon
po.
sa inyong lahat. Thank you.